Okay, so dear Dhamma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body and keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound, and while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra, just follow the sound please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the purely enlightened One. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our practice session, as usual, we'll take few minutes to understand how this meditation practice will help for us to develop our conventional life as ordinary people, and at the same time, out of that conventional development, how you can reach to your spiritual success. So always you have to remember, this spiritual success is not separated from your conventional life. So your conventional life based with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, faculties. And at the same time, it's go towards the objects and it always perceive things from the outside world, and we maintain our life through these all six faculties. So when it comes to this sensual pleasure, and we, of course, we have some kind of satisfaction in this ordinary life, but as matured people, you understand yourself, whatever the sensual pleasure you achieve, it's not going to be there. For the moment, you can be happy, but at the same time, it going to go away, then you have to go into another moment. So how far you have to go? There is no end. This journey itself, but if you don't understand this and if you keep chasing behind this sensual pleasures itself, it creates a life. So this one fundamentally called as the tanha or the lust. So another way it called as the desire. So when it comes to the desire, it has a more wider meaning, because even to attain to this conventional level of the success and the spiritual success, this all belong to the word called the desire, achievement. But here you have to remember that whatever you had achieved, it should bring the deeper freedom to yourself rather than developing a kind of like a prison or the bond. So that is where the wisdom arises, because in case if you don't have the wisdom, what will happen out of that, your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, perception, and whatever the feelings, whatever the experience, whatever the thoughts, that you always build up another kind of craving. So that craving itself become a kind of like a gratification for yourself to keep drive this life in this conventional world. This worldly gratification is not in the outside. It always arises from inside. But as ordinary people, we always look the happiness and satisfaction from outside world. And at the same time, we look the freedom with these outside things. But we have to remember, practicing meditation gives you a deeper, clear understanding to recognize this inner gratification and how the cravingness arise, and at the same time, how this becoming happening inside you. So it is completely thought process. That thought process come out of your bodily, verbally, mentally action, and then it start to build up some kind of reaction and result. So then we build up our life on the top of that. This always keep maintaining action, reaction, result, action, reaction, result. It shall be called our conventional life. So the freedom means how you get out of this. Is there any way you can perform action that not belong to some kind of reactions or result? How you can do that? So that is where you have to find the wisdom, because in case if you do something and out of that, if there is a reaction happen, it itself become the gratification towards the world. So that means there is a bond you build up out of your own bodily, verbally, mentally action. So then deeply, when it comes to yourself, if you are become very clear with that own your inner thoughts, the very nature of it, and if you understand that nature, then what will happen? You recognize what is this outside nature. So when you observe your thoughts, your sensation, and your moment of experience, what you can see? Basically, you can see that everything is impermanent. It's a kind of unreliable, subject to change. So then just imagine, in the moment that what you experience, if it is itself subject to change, if it itself change or unreliable, or if it is conditioned by something, that's mean you giving your freedom to something, and at the same time that you can't hold it to it, or you never going to keep anything to yourself. If you understand this nature, you not go behind the world. Of course, you experience that whatever the perception, but deeply you're not going to hold it to it. So today I'm going to give you few examples to think yourself regarding this world and at the same time your liberation. So it's kind of like opening a window for yourself to understand this conventional level itself not separated from your spiritual liberation. It is the way you handle it. So the very first example is when you try to climb the mountain, of course, you have to know about the destination or the very top of the mountain. So that means you should know the end result. But still, the very first step you take from the bottom of the mountain is very important. Your first step from the bottom of the mountain depend on the end you know, and at the same time, reaching top of the mountain depend on the very first step. So it interconnected. But still, if you think about climb to the top, if you don't take the first step mindfully, what will happen? It just become just an idea. So then when it comes to the desire, you have to be very clear with your spiritual liberation. You should know what you mean by your freedom, what you mean by your liberation, what you mean by nibbana. Because there are today there are many meanings people bring, many interpretations. So then it is very important for yourself to know very clearly what you really want out of this practice. So think about it and exercise yourself, practice yourself, and see where you heading. Of course, you don't see the end result. You don't reach to the end result, but you have to know where you heading, and then you take the necessary first step mindfully. So the very first step is important, but at the same time, important your destination. So according to how much you know about your destination, your first step going to change, going to depend. So that's why deeply understanding this again and again, again and again, becoming very clear within yourself is very necessary. So then when it comes to the first step, basically having mental clarity and at the same time giving necessary effort and practice properly and developing some kind of physical mental discipline, gaining to some kind of moral practice, very necessary. So then in day-to-day life, this is the moment you have. So then within the moment that what you experience, you have to be very clear with it, and you have to be mindful about it, and you have to be aware about it. That is the very first step. Awareness you can't put into the future or the past. You have to be aware in the moment. So then again and again, again and again, be very clear in the moment. So when you become clear in the moment, you have to detach from the desire of reaching to the end. So this is a very tricky part that you have to understand, because if you always thinking about desire to achieve to the end, then your present moment start to become disturbed. So that's why before you sit for meditation, you should know why you practice meditation. But once you start to sit for meditation, you have to get out of the end result. So this is kind of like that your awareness itself is like the pilot. So the very moment that you practice is kind of like that you having the economy class, business class, first class, like that. So whatever the seat you have, doesn't matter. It all depends according to the pilot. So like that, it doesn't matter whatever the technique you practice. Technique itself not going to take you to that your end result. It always depends on the quality of your awareness. So then always remember to focus and brush up your awareness, brush up your awareness. Be very clear within yourself. In the moment what you experience, be very clear. It's kind of like the pilot. And it doesn't matter you mesmerize that where you heading and what is your destination, but still, it all depends on the pilot. Just imagine on the way, if the pilot make a mistake, or if your pilot take a decision to go to an emergency land, you can't reach to the destination. So like that, your awareness, you have to work with your awareness. Then always remember, persistent. But still, of course, you should know when you buy a ticket, you should know where you go, your destination. You have to give that destination. According to the destination, your price going to change. Time period going to change. So like that, be very clear before you practice. Why you want to practice. What you want out of this practice. If you need the peace, tranquility state, or liberation, or the Nibbana, what you mean by it. So try to be very clear what you mean by your freedom, what you mean by your success, what you mean by your Nibbana. So that is where you become more and more grounded and become more better with practice. And once you have that clarity, then the next window, next key point, this is what? Listen this very carefully and try to catch it. Water and ice. Same thing. Just imagine if you put the ice to water, it slowly starts to dissolve. Same thing, but two different kind of form. So your liberation, your Nibbana, your Sansara, the same like that. So it's all your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, perception, or the experience. It is the condition of your mind. So when you see something through your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, it can become like the ice or it can become the water. According to the heat. So according to the heat, it's going to become water. And in case if you slowly suck all the heat, it become ice. So then same like what you experience. So the lust is kind of like a heat. So if you slowly get all the heat out of your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind faculties, and when you experience, it cannot become sansar, or it cannot become a kind of like a gratification. It cannot develop that gratification. You become free from the world. Your world or the Mara or the sansara cannot hold you. But if you have the heat, in your eye, not outside world, in your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So that's mean if you have the lust within yourself, in your consciousness, within your point of view, if you have the lust, when the perception arises, so it become like ice. So then try to understand, get the heat out, and then you will see that what you experience itself is change. And another thing is how you can that you can change this according to the wisdom. So wisdom is kind of like another way you can melt this world. So you develop the form out of that all the thoughts. Just imagine it's all created by the mind. Names and forms, this everything created by the mind. But when it comes to names and forms, and when it comes to the mind, there is no such a permanent concrete entity as mind. Of course, we know the brain, but there is no such a place that thought arise, oh, this is the place, or kind of like that, because entire this process help for us. So then remember yourself that this energy become form. So then if you have the wisdom itself, you are capable to get out of the form and the name. So that's why I always reflect on impermanent, unsatisfactory nature and selflessness and subject to change. So that's a wisdom kind of like slowly you can get out of this name and form. And it is not separate something. Of course, it look like separate, but it's the same thing. The water and the ice look like difference. And another window that you can understand, sun and stars. So when you see the sun, you can't see the stars. When you see the stars, there is no sun. But without the sun, there is no stars. So same like that, whatever you see as good or bad, right or wrong, up and down, pain and pleasure, wholesome, unwholesome, that all depend each other. Of course, when it comes to conventional world, it is very necessary that everything that we have to follow the society, culture, traditions, but still you have to remember to gain inner freedom. One day you have to get out of this, all the good and bad both. You have to get out of the right and wrong both, not only the wrong part. You have to get out of the wholesome, unwholesome both. You can't just hold it to only the wholesome actions, only the right things, only to the good things. You have to get out of the both. So to get out of the both, there is a mechanism. So very first thing, from the beginning, you have to get out of all the unwholesome action. Stop doing it. Minimize the strength of that. And develop all the wholesome actions. Strengthen the ability to perform wholesome actions and strengthen the ability to do the good. But you have to be very careful not to criticize the unwholesome, not to criticize the bad, not to criticize the kind of like unnecessary or kind of like unwholesome actions. This is very important. How you can, without criticizing, get out of it. Because if you try to criticize, you can't get out of it. It's going to come behind you. That is the basic principle you have to understand. So that's why from the beginning, develop the ability to do the good. Let whatever that unwholesome, only things to be there, only thing you're not going to perform it. But as much as do the good, do the good. But one thing is you don't need to appreciate it. You don't need to appreciate the unwholesome action, but at the same time, you should not criticize it. You should not kind of like think it is bad. Because then what will happen? It will start to come behind you. So you take it as a part of the world. And then yourself, you start to perform more and more and more wholesome actions. And what you mean by wholesome action today, maybe tomorrow it's not going to be like that. And then you become more better, more better. So somehow by the time, once you reach to the highest of the wholesome action, then you are capable to get the power, the ability even to detach from it. That is the day you recognize that the wholesome, unwholesome is kind of like a 50-50. It's both the same. Good or bad, it's kind of like a 50-50. But in the conventional world, you can't apply it like that. We always have to follow the basic principles. We have to obey the law and order. But still, when it comes to your mind, always remember, you have to keep it to the equanimity. So the equanimity is not allowing that both to be there 50-50. No, you withdraw from the both. It's kind of like sometimes people explain the middle path. You have to be balanced. It's kind of like a hot and cold water, you balance, and it's kind of like you feel room temperature. No, it's not like that. Equanimity means it's a one way. You have to get out of the good and bad both, not to balance good and bad like 50-50, no. Not to balance right and wrong 50-50, not the middle that way. No, you get out of that both and you have the equanimity without criticizing, without appreciation. You take it as a part of the world, you take it as a part of the cause and conditions. So that way, it brings the ability for yourself to maintain your bodily, verbally, mentally actions without creating and be without creating any gratification, without creating any craving. So that is where you can withdraw from becoming. So that is a basic principle. On the bottom of this whole spiritual practice, one is reduce the power of this lust, sensual pleasures, and at the same time, the cravingness to become. So that all depend on deeper the wisdom or the understanding you develop. So how, when you experience something, always remember that whatever it is, this everything in the world impermanent and unreliable and subject to change. So that will little by little allow things to be there as it is. And then by the time you are not going to struggle with it, you are not going to fight with it, you are not going to resist the world, but still you are capable to go through that and gain your liberation and your nibbana and your ultimate freedom within your own mind. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So your right palm on your left and neck head straight in one line and be comfortable with your posture. So bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say Sopatveva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable, may my breath be more smooth, may no difficulties come to me, may all the success come to me. Also think for a moment, this is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime, and detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalation and exhalation. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathe in, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalation, exhalations happen itself. So when it happens through the sensation, recognize it. If your mind go here and there, bring it back again and again. Just be aware about the sensation. Do nothing extra. Bring your attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also as far as you can through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Being suave, frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all six directions at once, like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy, without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. Also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata ca ammihi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipattiya Buddhang Pujemi Dhammang Pujemi Sanghang Pujemi Attaya Imaya Patipattiya Jati Jara Vyadi Maranam Paribunjissami Idammi punya kammang asavakkayamaham hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.